Hey guys, I'm Amy Carter. I'm with the Cullman City School Board, and it is my pleasure to be here with you guys today and read The Year of the Perfect Christmas Tree by Gloria Houston and illustrated by Barbara Cooney. I read this book today for the first time to the third graders at East Elementary, and I had never read this book before, and it teaches such a great lesson about this time of the year and giving. And sometimes you don't have a lot to give, but you can give things that maybe you have or that something's on your heart. So that's what this story is about. So here we go. It was getting towards Christmas in the valley of Pine Grove. The wise folks said the old woman in the sky was picking her geese, for the Appalachian Mountains lay blistered with snow. The road wound like bright ribbons around the blue ridges, tracked by the runners of wagons, sleds, and sleighs. Occasionally, an automobile chugged its way through the silence across the ocean and the Great War as the Great War waged. But it was in the valley, and in the valley all was at peace. It was getting on towards Christmas Ruthie would never forget. The Christmas when the village almost did not have a Christmas tree. It happened this way. Ruthie told me so. "Come on, my pretty young'un," Papa said one day early in the spring. It was time to choose the Christmas tree for the Christmas church. "But Papa, Christmas will not come for a long time," said Ruthie. "The service trees are just now in bloom. We must choose a special tree and mark it for the coming year. It's the custom in our village for one family to give the folk village every year in the holler a Christmas tree for Pine Grove Church. This year, it's our turn. Some years, a timbering man will give a fat, round laurel from the nearby coves, the kind the outliners call a rhododendron. Other years, the holler folk may bring a cedar to spread its fragrance throughout the village church." "What kind of tree shall we have, Papa?" said Ruthie. "We shall have a balsam Christmas tree, my little young'un," said Papa. "The balsam grows up with rocky crags where only the venturesome man may go. The balsam is a perfect tree. It grows high, near to heaven." So Papa and Ruthie rode on old Petey's back across the high cliffs, across the crags, looking for the perfect balsam Christmas tree. They rode and rode from early morning until the sun was high in the sky. Finally, they saw it, growing at the edge of the high cliff on Grandfather Mountain, alone, with no other trees around it. Its green color was dark and rich. It was a perfect shape and size, its tip-top pointing straight up to heaven. "This will be our perfect Christmas tree," said Papa. "And as the custom of the self-same year, you shall be the heavenly angel in the Christmas village play. It is fitting that you should mark the Christmas tree," Papa said, with the red ribbon from Ruthie's coal-black curls. He lifted her high into his strong arms. "Tie this to the tip-top," he said, and then he kissed each dimple on Ruthie's cheek. When summer came and Papa was called away to be a soldier, he went to fight in a war way across the sea. That year, the timber was not cut, so Mama had no money to buy coffee, sugar, or cloth for new dresses. Mommy and Ruthie drank peppermint tea sweetened with honey. Mommy lowered the hems of Ruthie's dresses and embroidered pretty flowers along the tears in the men's. Together, they tended a little garden, growing vegetables to eat. And every night, Mama tucked Ruthie into her little bed and listened as she said the same prayer. "Please send my Papa home for Christmas," Ruthie whispered, "and please have old St. Nicholas bring me a doll with a beautiful dress, the color of cream, all covered in ribbons and lace." One day in the fall, when the dried corn shucks rustled in the breeze, a package came from Papa. It were soft silk stockings for Mommy and a blue satin hair ribbons for Ruthie. There was a letter, too. "I'll be home for Christmas," the letter said. "The war is finally over. The armistice was signed today." Each day passed. Each day Ruthie ran home from school as fast as a deer that fed by the stream. Is Papa home?" she called as she ran up the stairs. But every day, Mama said, "No, not today. Maybe tomorrow. He will come on the Tweetsy train." The days passed. Ruthie listened for the squeaky whistle of the little train the morning folk called Tweetsy, and it chugged through the valley up and down the mountainside. One day, Mama and Ruthie harnessed old Petey to the sled and went to the station in Pinolia. But when the older men from the village stepped down from the train, Papa was not with them. Soon there was only one more day until Christmas Eve. Over at school, Miss Jenny and her pupils were practicing the Christmas play. The children sang the Appalachian lullaby, "Jesus, Jesus, rest your head, you have got a manger bed." Miss Jenny chose a boy and a girl who would be Mary and Joseph, and then she called Ruthie's name. "This year you shall be the heavenly angel. This is the year your papa will give the church its Christmas tree." Miss Jenny helped Ruthie climb to the stand on the teacher's chair so it would look as if she were in the sky. Miss Jenny showed her how to hold her arms just so. "If you wear a dress with great big sleeves," Miss Jenny said, "it will look like you have wings." "Mama, Mama," said Ruthie as she ran up the steps that day, "I must have a new dress with great big sleeves. I'm going to be a heavenly angel when Papa gives the Christmas tree." "Oh, my pretty young'un," said Mama, "I have no cloth to make a dress with great big sleeves, and I have no money until your papa comes home." Mama kissed the dimple of each of Ruthie's cheeks and hugged her daughter tightly. That night, the preacher from Pine Grove Church knocked at the door. "Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, Miss Green, and Tom is not yet home from the war. Chad McKinney has been saving a prime cedar on his bottom land for Christmas next. He'd his leave cut yours for this time next year." "But this is the year our tree gives the tree," said Mom. Tom chose to do it before he went away to war." "I had hoped you would heed my wish," said the preacher. "The church must have a Christmas tree when morrow comes. Tom is good as for his word. Our family will give the tree this year." Late that night, Mommy wakened Ruthie. They dressed in warm clothes, hats and mittens. Mom hitched old Petey to the big sled Papa used to haul the fire logs down from the ridges. The moon shone silver as Mama and Ruthie made their way up the hill. Ruthie carried the lantern. As they came to the dark woods, the winter moon made strange shadows in the snow. "Mama, I'm afraid," said Ruthie. "No need to be afraid," said Mama. "We're off to get the perfect balsam Christmas tree." Mama began to sing, "I wonder as I wonder out under the sky." Ruthie joined the song. Soon she forgot to be afraid. Mama and Ruthie led old Petey and the sled up the hills across the ridges, but they could not find the perfect balsam. "Papa says the balsam grows high on the rocky crags near the heaven where only the venturesome man will go." "The rocky crags," said Mama. "We have a long climb ahead." Slowly they led old Petey on the ridge into the highest crag in the Grandfather Mountain. They could see the village sleeping in the valley far below. Finally, at the edge of the highest cliff, they saw their balsam tree standing alone. "There it is, Mama," Ruthie cried. "There's my ribbon tied to the tip top." Ruthie ran up the rocky crag as Mommy and old Petey followed. The blade of Papa's axe shone in the moonlight as Mama lifted it high. Thwack, crack, as the sounds echoed through the rocks in the hills. Then Mama picked up the saw and said, "You take hold of this end, my pretty young'un. Pull as hard as you ever can." Mama pulled, Ruthie pulled, pull, back and forth until the perfect balsam Christmas tree fell softly into the snow. Mama and Ruthie lifted the tree and fell in the sled and tied it there. Then they made their way down the ridge. "I thought I saw 3 ships sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning," they sang. Through the soft snow, they led old Petey to church. Together, they lifted the perfect balsam tree from the sled and stood it in the corner on the belfry wall. Just as the sun was rising over Doe Hill, they hurried home. Tucking Ruthie into her little bed, Mama whispered, "The folk shall have their Christmas tree, and you will be the heavenly angel this year." Ruthie fell fast asleep, but Mama sat long in the firelight, sewing as fast as her nimble fingers could move. She first cut the ribbons and the lace from the wedding dress, the color of cream. From its fashioned a smaller dress with flowing sleeves. Then she took a soft silk stocking, stuffed it with lamb's wool, and stroked it until it was smooth and round. She embroidered it with 2 blue eyes, black curls, and a dimple on each cheek. From the scraps of Ruthie's dress, she made a tiny dress just like it, all trimmed with ribbons and lace. She dressed the stocking doll in the tiny dress. The sun was high in the winter sky when a knock came at the door. "Good Christmas Eve, Preacher Alice," Mama said. "Do come in and spell yourself." "Did you hear the news about the Christmas tree?" the preacher said. "A wondrous balsam from the high crags was found on the belfry porch this morning." Do tell, what a wonder," said Mama. "And that's not all. It's being told hereabouts that the folks who live up in the holler heard angels singing high on the ridge last night, and they were singing Christmas song," Preacher Alice said. Ruthie had to hide her face in Mama's patchwork quilt so the preacher could not hear her laugh. Daylight was fading when Mama helped Ruthie into the prettiest dress Ruthie had ever seen. It was made of the softest silk, the color of cream, all trimmed with ribbons and lace. It had long, flowing sleeves. "If you hold your arms just so," said Mama, "it will look like you have wings." At the church, the ladies of the valley had decorated the perfect balsam Christmas tree. Reflections of the tiny red candles in their shiny holders fastened to the tips of the branches shone in the windows. Tied to the lower branches of the tree were presents wrapped in pretty paper. On the tip top was a tiny angel. The sexton rang the bell from up and down the river road, from all of the hills and the hollers, and folks were coming to celebrate the Christmas tree. A choir of children sang by the organ. The three kings waited outside the belfry door. Behind the bedsheet curtain, Mama helped little Mary put her doll bed in the manger straw. Ruthie stood up on the preacher's big chair. The ladies pushed the bedsheet back. Ruthie could see herself in the dark church windows. She was careful to hold her arms just so. In her beautiful dress, it looked just like she had wings. "Behold, I bring you tidings of great joy," said Ruthie, the heavenly angel. When the program was over, Ruthie went to sit with Mama on the front pew. Mama held her close. Then the three kings came down the aisle, carrying lard pails filled with Christmas treat pokes. Each bag contained soft peppermint sticks, some chocolate drops, an orange, and some hazelnuts. Behind the kings walked old St. Nicholas. He carried his toe sack goodie bag with him as well. Old St. Nick visited the Amen corner first. He gave each of the deacons a lump of coal and a willow switch. The folk in the church laughed. Then to all the children who had misbehaved, St. Nick gave a willow switch and a lump of coal as well. Ruthie had been good that year, so she got a treat poke instead. At last, it was time to call the names on the present of every tree. Every child in the church received a present. Everyone, that is, except Ruthie. A tear slipped down the dimple on her tree. And then one of the kings reached the tip top of the perfect balsam tree, and he lifted the tiny angel down. "Why, Ruthie, this tiny angel looks just like you." And it did. The tiny angel was wearing a dress just like Ruthie's. It was made of the softest silk, the color of cream. It was trimmed with ribbons and lace. The sleeves were long and flowing, and it looked as if she had wings. The angel's curls were black as coal, and it had a dimple on each cheek. Ruthie hugged the tiny angel and kissed its silky cheek, which she felt like the silk stockings Papa had sent to Mama. The preacher said the benediction, and St. Nicholas wished one and all a happy Christmas. Slowly, people began to leave the church. Mama and Ruthie walked out the belfry door. St. Nicholas was standing there. A man in an army uniform stood behind him. "And here's another present for you, Ruthie," said St. Nicholas. Ruthie was so busy looking at the tiny angel that she did not even notice until the strong arms picked her up. "Let me look at you, you pretty young'un." And he hugged Ruthie, Mama, and the tiny angel all at the same time. The village folk gathered around the church steps. Someone within the village started singing "Silent Night, Holy Night, all is calm, all is bright." The folk from the village joined in, but Papa, Mama, Ruthie, and the tiny angel hardly heard. They just hugged each other some more. And since that time, every year for more than 60 years, the tiny angel has stood on top of the perfect balsam Christmas tree. She wears a dress of the softest silk, the color of cream, all trimmed with ribbons and lace. The sleeves are long and flowing, and it looks like it has wings. The angel has coal-black curls and a dimple in each cheek. That's how it happened. The Christmas, the heavenly angel, and the perfect balsam Christmas tree. Grandma Ruthie told me so. The end.